Hello everybody, thanks for coming back to my channel. And today I am going to be talking about something that I have been thinking about lately, and I feel we need to talk about this. While I'm talking, I'm going to be unraveling my curls. You all know the drill. Today is day 4 of my wash and go, and by today the hairstyle is not looking as interesting. So I am going to be unraveling it by sections. And as always, I'm going to be using my aloe vera butter. I bought it on Amazon. Hopefully this time I'll be able to link it below. I'm just starting at this, guys. Bear with me. And I'm going to be doing it in sections while I talk. And so hope all of you are doing good. Really quickly, tomorrow I am going to the dentist to my 8-week follow-up. Every 8 weeks I go to the dentist to get my new trays from Invisalign, and also the dentist will take a look and see how it's going. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing that, and hopefully I will be able to do that. Also this weekend I did go to the beach. It was very gloomy, so I didn't take a lot of videos, but I definitely want to do a little compilation of the things I saw in my favorite town of all towns, Malibu, California. I have been saying it for years. One day I will live in Malibu. I'm putting it out in the universe. That is where I want to live. So just believe with me, and one day, and I will take you with me when I do. Okay, I'm gonna start. Let's talk about Bravo. I am a fan of Bravo. I am a huge fan of the Real Housewives franchise. I have been watching since day 1, Orange County, and to this day it's one of my favorite franchises. It's one of my favorite edition of the franchise. I'm a huge fan of Beverly Hills, Atlanta. It's been going slow a little bit the last few years, but I still love it. Potomac, I also love it very much. I don't watch Dallas a lot. I've seen a few episodes here and there, and I used to watch Miami just on and off. But the staples are Orange County, Beverly Hills, New York. New York also a big one, a huge one, and it's the reason why I'm sitting down to do this. Atlanta, Potomac, pretty much all of them, and Salt Lake City, which is the newest edition. I watched that season, and it also ties into what I'm talking about today. So let's start. As you know, when I do my wash and goes, my curls, they stay in clumps. And so by day 4, I start to unravel them to give it more volume so it looks more interesting. Okay, Bravo. I didn't have a problem when I started watching the shows. And for example, the first one, Orange County, it was all white ladies. I believe Jo was Latina. But, you know, it was a pretty monoracial show because it's Orange County. It's a certain sector of Orange County. There's not a lot of black people. There's not a lot of people of different races. So it made sense that the ladies on the show were all white. I have never been one of those people that feels that black people have to be everywhere. And this is precisely the reason why. Anyway, when Atlanta came about, I just fell in love with the show. I love the way it showed that, you know, black people can be living in luxury. I've known this my whole life, but seeing it on TV is not something that you see a lot of. And I think reality TV has helped democratize luxury, if you please. It has been able to open the eyes of the public to the fact that we do have people of different races, different backgrounds living luxurious lives. We're just now seeing it. And yes, it comes with drama because it's reality TV, and reality TV wouldn't be successful without drama. So I never had a problem with the ladies in Atlanta getting into it with each other. I've never had a problem with it because that's what makes the show interesting. I've never felt that they have to show Black people in the most pristine of ways, because Black people, just like everybody else, are not pristine. We have people who know how to behave, and we have people who just act a fool. And it's usually the people who act a fool that make TV more entertaining. So I get it. And I don't have a problem with controversy. My problem lately with Bravo is that what we are seeing when we add cast members of color into otherwise mostly white casts is that Bravo is now profiting on racial-based drama. That is my problem, that it's all about race. Case in point, I have not had a chance to watch all the episodes of the Real Housewives of New York in order, but I do have it saved on my DVR. So I started catching up last night, and I was just appalled by what I saw. Ebony, which is the newest cast member and the first Black woman in the Real Housewives of New York series, I mean, she's a one-trick pony. This is a very educated woman. She's a lawyer, I believe. She's traveled all over the world. She's well educated. And it seems like all Ebony can talk about is race. And in a very confrontational, negative way. And I'm not okay with that. I am not okay with that. Ebony could bring so much more to the table, but Bravo and the producers of the show are choosing to make Ebony the problematic Black girl. And this is really, it's really offensive to me. I know I'm being dramatic, but that's how I feel. And I was watching last night and I just couldn't believe it. I'm thinking, Ebony, I'm sure you're smart enough to know that you are being set up for this very thing. And the fact that you are such a happy, willing participant in becoming this kind of a self-righteous, uber sensitive, ultra preachy Black woman to these New York ladies, I mean, it is just, you are a stereotype. And I'm not okay with that. And I'm gonna go back to Ebony. But I was thinking about this because I have been watching the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, another favorite. And I feel like they're doing this exact same thing to the newest character. I believe her name is Crystal Minkoff. Crystal seems like a really, really smart, sophisticated lady. She's Asian. I believe she's of Chinese descent. And she's a success story in America. She did well in school. She married a rich man, and she's living the American dream. But right off the bat, the show started centering on the fact that Crystal is now, inserting herself into the drama from a racial perspective. And talking about, you're probably one of these girls that thinks, you don't see color. And I understand that it is warranted to go there when you have these neoliberal white people who are, super woke and end up really sticking their foot in their mouth more often than not, out of good intentions, right? But the fact that they immediately jump into this thing of Crystal is gonna make it all about race and she's a woman of color and she's gonna go after these women because they're not sensitive enough, I was just like, okay, I'm not okay with that. Not to mention the fact that Garcelle Beauvais, who was the first Black woman to join the cast of Beverly Hills, also went straight into the race thing. When she came in, she was talking about her divorce and now she's dating a new man. This was the last season. And she was dating a Black man and she decided to refer to the man as Chocolate Michael throughout the duration of their relationship. Chocolate Michael. Anyway, The last season ended with, at the reunion, when Kyle pointed out to Garcelle that even though she won one of the auctions, apparently there must have been a miscommunication with her financial people, her accountant, and she never turned in the check for the item she won. And Garcelle took great offense to that, and she said, "Oh, that's not true. That is not true. That is absolutely not true." Only to find out, and I guess it became clear at the beginning of this season, that apparently her accountant did not send the check to Kyle, because Kyle and her husband were the ones who were in charge of this raffle. And but she was very offended that Kyle would mention this at the reunion. And at this season, when she and Kyle were able to sit down and have lunch to talk it over, Garcelle said to Kyle, "Would you have mentioned this if I was not a Black woman?" Why wouldn't she? Why wouldn't she? If you make a bid at an auction and you win the auction at a charity event and your accountant didn't send the check, yeah, that is a major thing. It doesn't matter who it is. Why wouldn't she mention it if it was one of her white castmates? Kyle is a mean girl. I'm going to put that out there. Kyle is a mean girl. She has shown her true colors from the very beginning. She actually outed her sister, Kim, as an alcoholic in the first season of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And that scene kind of put the series on the map. Kyle is not a nice person, and I think her PR team has done a really good job of helping her, be more calm this time around, or ever since her and Brandy got into it and the public really saw her for the mean girl that she is. She's really toned it down, but she still has it in her. And Kyle has no problem insulting her castmates. It doesn't matter who they are, what race they are. She has been insulting her white castmates from day one. So for Garcelle to bring up the race thing, it irked me. And all the little comments she makes about, "Oh, I'm a Black woman and I gotta, I'm a strong Black woman and I gotta work and I gotta do this and I gotta do that and I'm Black and I'm Black and I'm blackity black, black, black." It just speaks to this trope of Black people think about race, talk about race all the time, 24/7, 7 days a week, all the time. They never stop. That's all they talk about. And that is a stereotype that is not true. And Garcelle knows it. Ebony knows that. But for some reason, they have chosen to be the stereotypical, angry, super political Black woman who always has to bring up race at all times. And you know what is dangerous about that is that if people already believe that about Black people, that we're problematic, that we're so sensitive, that any little comment, we're going to look at it through the prism of race, and that we're going to, be sensitive about words. One of the things that Ebony did that created this whole thing between her and Luann. The thing that was a problem for Ebony is that she got into an argument with Luann because they were talking about the fact that Leah is always talking about sex, and some of the ladies, mainly Luann and Ramona, have a problem with that. And Luann made the comment of, it's just a matter of education. I mean, it's a matter of education, suggesting that if you have little to no education, you're more likely to talk more about sex. And that's not true. We know that. That's not true. But Ebony took offense to that because Ebony said, "Hey, wait a minute. Are you saying that if we talk about sex, that means that we're not educated? That is not true." And then she put out there, "I am the most educated woman at this table, and I talk a lot about sex." Was that shade? Yes. Yeah, but I mean, it comes with the territory. Ebony apparently is the most educated woman at the table. She's a lawyer, like I said, and if you go to law school, you know that that's almost like going to medical school. It's at least 6, maybe 8 years sometimes, depending on your specialty. And so she did flex. She flexed out there that she was the most educated woman at the table. Luann took great offense to that, and they got into it. Voices were raised, and Luann proceeded to tell Ebony that she was being angry. She did not call her an angry black woman. She said, "You are angry." And Ebony went off. She did not like that. She said that is the trope of the angry black woman that people have been trying to say about her whole life. And she did make a good point. Minutes before Luann called Ebony angry, Leah, who was just having a meltdown, had gone in there and had yelled at them and called them hoes and called them out of their name. And nobody called Leah angry. Nobody used that word. They just kind of dismissed her and go like, "Oh, girl, just go home, just relax, just take a breather." But when Ebony, who was way more calmer than Leah, expressed her anger, she was called angry. And a part of me feels like Luann knew what she was doing. She was playing it for the camera because she knew that Ebony was going to go ahead and take it personal. But the fact that Ebony went back to the house and then went and told Leah, "Luann just called me an angry black woman." Obviously, those were not the words Luann used. Okay. I had to stop there because I feel like I'm too distracted and I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing with my hair. And I don't want to like rip the ends apart because that's not good. That's why I'm using the aloe vera butter burn. I need to really pay attention to what I'm doing. Do you like my makeup, guys? I feel like like I'm trying to do my makeup like the girls, but I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a professional makeup applier. I want to learn how to be really good at it though. So I want to learn how to really be good at it. I want to learn how to do that. I want to learn how to cook. I want to learn how to bake. It's the glow up year, you guys. This is the year when we do everything to better ourselves, to become a more well-rounded person. So, yeah. Anyway, so later on when Ebony had the conversation, the sit-down conversation with the ladies, and she was explaining to them that the word angry triggers black women because we're often not allowed the opportunity to just be a well-rounded woman, to express our emotions. It felt very one-sided in the sense that I can't remember the name of the one who was there before and she's now come back this season, but I'll insert here somewhere. But she was there and oh my gosh, she was being so overly pandering to Ebony and trying so hard to be this wokey woke white woman who understands everything and telling all the other ladies, well, we are white, so we have to just let Ebony express herself and we just have to shut up and just listen and sit back and just let her do all the talking and we just need to understand her. And I'm thinking, that's not how we're gonna solve the race problems in this country. Everybody has to talk. Everybody has to bring their thoughts to the table. We cannot continue with this idea that the best way to deal with race in America is to walk on eggshells around black people. That black people are these unstable, irrational, over-emotional children that have to be pandered to. And we need to just, stroke them and just feel sorry for them and let them be angry. And we just need to sit back and watch them and go, oh, I hate that. That is so disrespectful. That is so disrespectful, and it has created among some black people, not all of us, but among some black people, this feeling of entitlement that you can say whatever you want, you can do no wrong because you're a black person in America and everybody just needs to put up with you. And that is just so disrespectful to us black people. We are human beings. We can all be adults and have a range of emotions and control ourselves and sit down at the table and have respectful but honest and open conversations. And if you say something ignorant, it doesn't mean that we have to stop the presses and everything has to shut down and Black people need to go to a safe place and count to 10. No, I can listen to what you're saying, and even if it doesn't make sense, I can correct you and be like, well, when you say things like that, it means so and so. But you can also tell me the things that I'm doing that makes it difficult for us to even sit down and have this conversation. There is nothing wrong with that. Sometimes I feel like I live in the Twilight Zone. Like, the people who are trying to do the right thing get slapped down so hard that they just give up. And you know what? Sometimes I don't blame them, because we need to understand that race is complicated. It is difficult to talk about. It is difficult to sit down and unpack hundreds of years of trauma and violence and dysfunction and barbaric behavior that was, enforced on a group of people, and the effects that continue unto today from 400, 500 years ago when this whole thing started. But it's important to understand that both sides, we have the capacity to sit down and have these conversations without falling apart. It's really ridiculous to think that one group is going to have the maturity and the strength to restrain themselves and allow the other group to just go off. Because let me tell you something, to think that white people are going to all have the ability to sit down and watch things unfold and just sit there, all white people aren't mature. All white people cannot control themselves. A lot of them are just as emotional and explosive and angry as the sector in the Black community that behaves that way. And maybe those people, the ones who cannot hold it together, maybe we should just push them off the table, and only the mature among us have to sit down and have these conversations. Anyway, I just got off on a tangent again. But anyway, the point I'm making is the word angry is not a slur. It can be pointed to anybody who is behaving in an angry manner of any race. If you think I'm behaving in an angry manner, you can call me angry. And I'll be like, okay, am I being angry? Yes or no? My prerogative. It's not a slur. Words don't have specific meanings when they're directed to specific people. Words have meaning, period. And you can either take it or you can leave it. But, I'm not going to get into that other thing, because that's for another show. So the reason why I'm talking to Bravo in this video, and Bravo probably will never watch this video, but who cares? I'm gonna say it anyway. The reason why I'm talking to Bravo is because I am noticing this pattern of them adding women of color to a cast that used to be mostly white. And the person of color is now being charged with the position of being the educators, the race educators, to be the ones to bear the burden of explaining to these white ladies why sometimes they're problematic. And that in itself is problematic, because it's putting an undue burden on the shoulders of people who are just trying to get into a show, get their clout on. And I think I started saying this earlier and I left it off. Hopefully when I edit the video, I'll be able to catch this. But here is the thing. The reason why this is so dangerous, even if it's used in entertainment, is that it enforces in the minds of ignorant, non-Black people or non-people of color, white people, that anytime you introduce a person of color into your circle of friends or into your professional group or into the company that you own, things are going to get awkward. Things are going to get uncomfortable. That a workplace that was otherwise, light and carefree, and yes, they had their problems that had to do more with people's personalities than anything, that an employment situation, that a circle of friends where everybody felt comfortable just being themselves, you introduce a person of color, and all of a sudden, we gotta be careful. Gotta be careful what you say. You gotta be careful how you look. You gotta be careful with everything. You gotta walk around on eggshells. You gotta be super sensitive to the feelings of this person who just came into the group. And that can further create the situation where we're more segregated than ever. Because if you ask me, if I'm having a really good time with my friends and we have a very light rapport with each other, we have a great time, if you tell me that introducing people of different backgrounds is going to mess up that dynamic, I'm not going to want to introduce any person that is different into my group of friends. If I'm looking to hire somebody, and my company, we have mostly white people working here, and I'm a white person, and I'm trying to fill up a position, and the most qualified person is a black woman or a black man, and I'm looking at their resume and their experience, and I can tell that they're going to be a really great addition to the group. But I'm watching Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, the Real Housewives of New York, the Real Housewives of Dallas, the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And I'm seeing these women of color adding a certain dimension of a feeling of being uncomfortable, and everybody has to be careful, and people who have said things in the past now have to be walking on eggshells, and people of color are bringing up the fact that you're not a person of color, and you saying that it's just going to, like Jen Shaw, who is a mess. That woman is a mess, and she has used her person of color as some kind of like a catch-all excuse to explain why she's such a horrible person, and that she's married to a black man and she has black sons, and people are judging her because you know how damaging that is to call a person that they're being difficult, and to call them out on their behavior. People should be called out on their behavior. If they're a horrible person, I don't care what race you are, you should be called out on your bad behavior. Being black doesn't give you an excuse, or being black adjacent doesn't give you an excuse. If you make a bid on a product, you win the bid, and you don't send the money, people have a right to call you out on that. Just because you're black, people should keep it secret? Come on. You're on reality TV. People are looking for ways to, create drama. And you don't get a pass because you are of a different race. That creates this idea that, yes, people of color don't take responsibility for their behavior. So it's best not to hire them. It's best not to invite them into the country club. It's best not to have them be a part of this association, and they're just unpredictable. And when those people are around and you say the wrong thing, you can be labeled a racist, and your life can change overnight. So let's just stay away from them. That's what it creates. And no, that does not excuse that kind of behavior, or excluding people of other races. But that's what it's going to cause. And I feel that in the light of the racial riots last year and the whole George Floyd and Breonna Taylor thing, Bravo, along with a lot of institutions, are trying to do their part in, bring awareness to racial inequality. And the intentions might be good, but you're going about it the wrong way. You're going about it the wrong way. It's just, and I was watching when they were in the highlights of, I guess, Ramona is getting into real estate, and the mentor who was talking to her was saying, oh, well, you can't call it the master bedroom anymore. You can't do that anymore. Like, who asked you to do, who asked you not to call it the master bedroom? Black people didn't say, stop calling it the master bedroom because it's about slavery. We never said that. But anyway, I guess this is the alternative. Let's do these little gestures instead of, working towards creating a real equitable society. Nah, let's change the name. Let's not call it the master bedroom anymore. That ought to fix things. Let's stop calling the thing Aunt Jemima. That ought to fix things. Let's get rid of Uncle Ben's rice. That ought to fix things. The phone keeps ringing. Why is my job getting in the way of my hobby? Anyway, in conclusion of my rant, diversity is good, but let's do it right. When a Black cast member joins a mostly white reality show, I want that cast member to be treated the same way everybody else gets treated. I don't want race to be an additional cast member. I don't want race to be a new character. We already know there are differences in the treatment of people according to their race, not only in this country, but in many other countries. I've lived in 3 other countries, and race will always be an issue unless we as a people evolve into a society that genuinely sees people for who they are, for instead of the color of their skin, the content of their character. But that's not going to happen if everywhere Black people go, if everywhere Asian people go, they are treated like the new, the other, the person who we need to understand better, the person who we need to walk around on eggshells because we don't want to offend them by saying things like angry, because that could be a trigger. Or people who, when they don't pay what they said that we're gonna pay, we can't bring it up because there's a history of people insulting Black people as non-payment people. You know how many times people have been accused of lying about how much money they have in these shows? Remember Dorit and what's his name, PK, being accused of faking their life? Remember that? Those things that they were saying that Brandy was low class, which she kind of behaves like she is. Remember all the insults that, calling each other liars. So it's not as if everybody gets a pass, but all of a sudden there's a cast member of color and they're calling them out. Calling out is part of the whole business of reality TV. Calling people out. If you cannot handle it, then don't be on reality TV, or at least stick to the shows like Potomac or Atlanta where all the cast is Black, because then you get called out and it's not about race, right? That defeats the whole purpose of living in a more integrated society. If we're going to live in a society where everybody gets treated the same, then everybody should be treated the same. There shouldn't be any special treatments for people based on the color of their skin. We want to be treated like everybody else. That's the whole point of being equal. And that goes for women seeking equality with men. If you want to be equal, it comes with the price. If you want to be equal with men, you can't expect men to pay for everything. If you want to be in a more traditional relationship where the man is the head of the relationship, then expect him to pay. But if you want equality, then you should equally pay. You should equally carry the burden of society. That's just how it is. And if you don't like it, then let's go back to the old days where people get treated according to the way they look, the country they come from, the color of their skin, the language they speak. Which one do you like? You can't have it both ways. And it is what it is. So bravo. I was being a little clickbaity. You are trying. You have a lot of shows that open the doors and open the eyes of people to realize, you know what, Black people can do well in life. And so I know that you're trying. But these latest additions with Tiffany Moon in Dallas and making the whole thing about race with the other cast member who had made some comments. Ebony Williams in New York making everything about Black. Oh, Black. This election, I'm a Black person. My body existing as a Black woman. We're going to have a Harlem Nights, a party to celebrate the Black intelligence. It's like, come on, girl. There's more to you than Blackness. It is a beautiful part of who you are. It is a gorgeous part of making up who you are, but you have more to you than just being the Black person who's pointing out all the issues that are problematic around you as a Black person. Please, Ebony, do better. You are gorgeous. You're smart. You're funny. You're kind. I'm just starting the season, by the way. So maybe as the season unfolds, we will see all the other dimensions of Ebony. I see that she's trying to get a matchmaker for Sonia. And so I want to see more of the other parts of you. But lay off the race card, please. Same for Gabrielle in Beverly Hills. Just stop it. Just please. Crystal Minkoff, I don't know. There was that one time when she had that argument with the other lady. I can't remember her name. But just don't fall into the trap of being the woman of color, waving the woman of color flag, please. And Jen Shaw, girl, you're going to jail. You are going to jail. And you are a really nasty, mean person. And I think her husband must have had another family somewhere, don't you think? He spends a lot of time away from her. I don't know. Coach Shaw? Maybe I'm judging this man. Maybe he's a good, faithful husband, and look at me here, going into the stereotype. See? I'm guilty as well. I apologize. Coach Shaw, you're probably a very decent man who loves your wife and you're faithful to her. You're a good dad to your sons. My apologies. Anyway, I'm gonna fast forward this to the end so you can see the finished product of my hair. Let's fast forward. And here is the finished product. feel like I still have to work a little bit more on the back. What do you think? Does it look good? Anyways, tell me what you think about what I said. Do you agree with me? Am I reading too much into it? Do you enjoy seeing these new uncomfortable racial dynamics being introduced into mostly white shows? Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear in the discussion below. If you agree with what I said, please give it a thumbs up. If not, give it a thumbs down. This is a democracy here. You get to decide whether you like it or not. And let's keep the discussion going, I think. It's kind of it's a double-edged sword. We want to have the discussion, but we don't want it to be all about the discussion when it comes to relationships between human beings. But before we can get to the point where we really get along with each other and it's not even a thing that you think about, first we have to talk about it, but in a calm, equitable way. Everybody coming to the table, expressing themselves, bringing their ignorance, their insights, their enlightenment into the table. And let's do it with compassion for each other, understanding that, you know, sometimes when people are offensive, they don't mean to be. Sometimes when Black people react the way they do, they don't mean to be mean. They're just reacting to trauma that's stored in their bodies. Can we just talk? Can we just talk, please? Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time.